Story 1. Tinder made me realize I am unattractive, and many girls do not want to date me. The same happens with Snapchat. Most girls block me when I show my face. Story 2. Discovering pornography. I am 16 and have been addicted to it since the age of 13. Took up valuable revision and homework time. It has not ruined my life, but I would feel a lot more confident in my general certificate of secondary education results if I had not discovered where to watch it privately. Story 3. COVID-19. If it were not for COVID-19, my mother would have received the treatment she needed at the hospital, unrelated to COVID-19, and survived. However, those who did not suffer from COVID-19 were pushed aside. Story 4. Being a child who was not wanted and growing up with parents always fighting and yelling. You do not develop self-esteem, protection, confidence, or love in infancy, and these cannot be fully healed in adult life. I feel like I do not fit into the world. Living becomes a burden. Story 5. Breaking up with someone who would have married me in my 20s. Ever since, I have chosen the wrong partners. I have changed, grown, and been through so much, yet no one stays. I am never happy because, at the end of the day, I just want to be loved. At this point, I cannot take any more abuse or heartbreak, so I am realizing now that it is just not in the cards for me. Story 6. I have been clean from methamphetamine for almost 2 years now and still do not feel back to normal. I still have a lot of life to go through, so I am really hoping this does not affect me for the rest of my life. Story 7. Loving someone to the extent that the person became everything, giving away all of myself to that person, has caused me pain to this day. Story 8. Accidentally touched my teacher's chest in 2nd grade. I was labeled a pervert by staff and students. I spent the next 12 years as a shut-in. I moved and got a fresh start, eventually blossoming, but my confidence has always been damaged from the bullying I experienced. I have always been tall, and in 2nd grade I was taller than my teacher. I hugged her from behind, and she thought I was trying to touch her inappropriately when it was just a kid who didn't think things through. I still think she massively overreacted and never considered it was an accident. Story 9. Back in 1993, my flatmate's friend came to visit for a few hours. She had just recovered from a bad case of the influenza. She transmitted it to my flatmate, and it was passed on to me. I ended up with post-viral chronic fatigue syndrome, which is similar to long coronavirus disease. I still have it. I have never worked full-time since then. Story 10. A betrayal I suffered from my best friend at a young age made me not trust anyone, which made me reclusive and antisocial. I basically missed my window to have normal teenage experiences. I would not say my life is ruined, though. I am okay now. Story 11. I have what I call paper skin. My skin is constantly ruptured, cracked, and bleeding. I wake up with blood on my sheets every morning. I have tried everything to fix it. Lotions, creams, minocycline, doxycycline, and isotretinoin. Nothing has worked, and I have been through many dermatologists. It is just the worst. I would not wish my skin condition on anyone. Story 12. Food addiction. I have been overweight my entire life and have never been able to run comfortably. By the time I graduated high school, I had high blood pressure, fatty liver, sleep apnea, and lower back pain from weighing 260 pounds. I lost a significant amount of weight but still struggle with food cravings and remain overweight. If I ate the way I wanted every day, I would probably consume 3,000 to 5,000 calories daily. Story 13. When my little brother died, he did not mean much to me at that age since I was a little autistic kid and I hated him. Little did I know that his death set off a chain reaction that led to my bipolar mother going into a drug and trauma-induced state. This caused her to leave my father while still married, actively having another man over while living with my father, despite being broken up. Then she just left one day and did not come back. My parents were taking apart an abandoned house to sell off the lumber, with her leaving to do the sale. She abandoned me. I prayed and hoped she would return someday. She never came back. She was arrested for her drug habits on the way. She barely tried to come back into my life after that and decided to spend most of her time preying on younger men for money, sex, and drugs. My father is not a leader. He is a great, large man like I turned out to be, even though I am male to female transgender, but he has no leadership ability. He is a follower at heart. He used methamphetamine and other drugs because my mother did. He completely let the property we lived on deteriorate to the point there was no running water or electricity. We did not have the money for that because of his habits and the limited work in the small town in eastern Oklahoma where we lived, even for a mechanic like him. My grandparents took me away permanently, and I lived with them for the rest of my childhood. It did not stop there. After this, my mother was in and out of jail throughout my entire childhood for nearly every possible drug-related non-felony offense. She would occasionally visit my grandparents' place but never stayed and pretended like none of her children existed unless it was convenient for her. I have permanent anxiety disorder, which requires medical marijuana every day, depression, and several other conditions because my parents resorted to drugs after my brother died. Thanks, Mom. You are responsible for my worst panic attacks. Story 14. My depression causes me to get burned out, leave jobs, go broke, and occasionally become homeless. Then I rebuild from scratch. Story 15. Myalgic encephalomyelitis/chronic fatigue syndrome. I had no idea what this disease was 5 years ago before I got it. Spoiler, it is very difficult. I wish I never had it. Life as I knew it no longer exists. Story 16. Getting sick with a high fever of 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit and nearly passing out the day before the interview for a student exchange program, after successfully passing the test of English as a foreign language, was very challenging. Imagine surviving in a little war-torn country and losing your chance to live and study in the United States for a year because of the flu or another virus. I do not think it ruined my whole life. Perhaps I cope by thinking this way. Anyway, my starting conditions could have been significantly better. Story 17. Chronic thromboembolic pulmonary hypertension. I moved to Colorado to be near my daughter. I developed chronic thromboembolic pulmonary hypertension. I learned the altitude is making it worse. I have to move away to live. Story 18. Having to spend the entire 3-year COVID lockdown, at least in my country, with my toxic family was very difficult. I always knew they were toxic, but never realized it was that bad until I was stuck with them for such a long time. Overall, the COVID lockdowns resulted in wasted time, ruined plans, lost motivation, broken dreams, worsened health both mentally and physically, and many other negative effects that still affect me to this day. Story 19. My life is just fine. It has gone exactly the way it was supposed to go. My pain and my struggles have been the refiner's fire that has made me shine like gold. No, I would not like to relive the worst moments, but I am glad that I survived and overcame them the first time through. Story 20. Growing up homeschooled as an evangelical Christian and being gay took me until age 30 to really accept it for myself. A couple of years and a lot of therapy later, I have still only come out to a few people and have never dated anyone. At least I am not suicidal anymore. Story 21. Ankylosing spondylitis. I would not say my life is ruined because of it, but it has definitely changed forever. Story 22. My parents. Some people should not have children, especially when they are young. I love my dad, but they had no business having children. Story 23. Marrying the wrong person, who was a confusing mix of narcissistic traits, autism, and kindness. Divorce is difficult because you lose 50% of your time with your children. Story 24. Cancer at 28, my life was finally starting to get on track. I had my own place, a good job, and a steady relationship. Then suddenly, I became very ill and could barely work, barely hanging on. 8 years later, I am still not back to where I was before I got sick. It also diminished my enthusiasm for life, knowing that through no fault of my own, I could lose everything I had worked for. Story 25. It did not completely ruin my life, but it certainly destroyed my trust in men. I am 23 years old now, and 2 years ago I met a charming young man, or so I thought, until he started making inappropriate advances toward me. At first, it was just hugs or touching my buttocks, but that was before we started dating. After that, he began crossing boundaries, touching my breasts and trying to get into my pants. I felt uncomfortable, but then, after 3 months of dating, he raped me. At the time, he was living with his parents, but something happened between them, and his parents kicked him out of the house. He asked to live with me, and I agreed, but only on the condition that he would not bother me. He promised and seemed to keep his word. However, 2 weeks after he moved in, he entered my room while I was sleeping. He stood over my bed and slowly pulled the covers off me. When I felt a sudden chill, I realized that he was touching me. Story 26. Smoked marijuana from a new source, and either it was laced with something or I just hit the jackpot, but it triggered a full psychotic break that lasted 3 months. This caused me to alienate every one of my friends and family members and commit a felony that followed me around for 5 years before I could get it expunged. It cost me $500,000 in lost wages and many relationships. I have clawed my way back to some semblance of a normal life, but I will never be the same. On the bright side, I have not touched marijuana, alcohol, or any other mind-altering substance in 9 years. I even quit smoking several years ago, so some serious good actually came from it, although I paid a heavy price. Story 27. Being too naive and revealing too much to people. Some people do not deserve to know you. They are not justified in getting to understand us. Story 28. Being put on stimulant medication as a child has affected my memory. I believe it is connected to the Ritalin I was prescribed for many years. Doctors have not listened to my concerns, and I have stopped trying to discuss it with them. I also suffer from severe, untreatable depression, which I think may be related to the Ritalin. Children's brains are still developing, and they should not be given powerful psychiatric medications. Story 29. My bipolar disorder diagnosis occurred when I was 18. I am now 29 years old and have experienced 5 incredibly destructive manic episodes. I have lost several friends, spent thousands of dollars, and almost got banned from my brother's wedding because of it. Story 30. Werewolf pornography. I do not like it, but I cannot help myself when I am on someone else's computer or phone and decide to pull up everything on it for others to see. Story 31. Multiple sclerosis. My soon-to-be ex-wife has multiple sclerosis, and it's been like watching your dog age, with nothing you can do to fix it. They lash out at you for being there. I went from the happiest times in my life to having nothing and no one. Story 32. My mom and her opioid addiction. I even wrote a song about it. Story 33. Not getting out of my shell more and not standing up for myself. I have been socially anxious my entire life because I have feared others' perceptions of me. I do not want to get on people's bad side, so I try my hardest to make them like me, only to blow it all in the end. Now, standing up for myself is a challenge on its own. I have let many people talk down to me because I am scared of conflict. I have let people intimidate me for so long because I am afraid they will try to initiate a fight, which I know I will not win. Story 34. That foolish behavior of slaves and masters playing games is nonsensical. If the situation were truly perfect, why would they be attempting to steal someone else's perfection? How can anyone learn anything from simply one person being above and another below? Story 35. Trusting people, parents, a spouse, a person with an opportunity. While none of these people were scammers per se, I am gullible by nature and was taken advantage of. I arrive at middle age with almost nothing to show for it and not much hope for the future. Story 36. A traumatic brain injury. I have experienced pain, anxiety, depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and many other issues every day since. I am in pain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Normal no longer exists. Story 37. My mom's opioid addiction ruined my whole life. I wrote a song about it. Story 38. My dad died by suicide when I was 23. My life is not ruined, but it definitely changed. I would be more successful in the conventional sense if it had never happened. Story 39. Fracturing my spine at age 20 in a seizure. I have only worked full-time a few months in the 17 years since. Story 40. The murder of my coach, who was like a second father to me, was devastating. I started boxing when I was 12 years old, and my coach was everything to me. I was only 15 years old when he died. After his death, I quit boxing. I tried to get back into it, but it never felt the same. Boxing was everything to me for years. Story 41. Having to care for my brother who was sick for 2 years, and I was the one who got in trouble for it. When I was 22, the woman I wanted to marry killed herself in front of me. Story 42. Losing my career in a bad job market right after college. I could recover from most things with time, but without a way to take care of myself, I am stuck. No, I cannot just work at a grocery store because I have a nut allergy. Story 43. The complete Trump-Jeffrey Epstein timeline. Decades of connections, cover-ups, and contradictions. Summary. Donald Trump had a more than 15-year friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. His Department of Justice was riddled with conflicts of interest. When Epstein died in Trump's custody, Trump immediately blamed the Clintons while covering up his own deeper connections. Part 1. The 15-year friendship, 1987 to 2002. 1987. Trump and Epstein first met. They became close associates with Tom Barack. 1992. News footage captures them partying at Mar-a-Lago with 28 cheerleaders. Trump whispers in Epstein's ear, pointing at women saying, "She's hot." 1993 to 1997. Flight logs show Trump flew on Epstein's plane at least 7 times, including with Tiffany Trump and Marla Maples. 2002. Trump told New York Magazine, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." Part 2. The falling out, 2004 to 2008. 2004. Trump outbid Epstein for a Palm Beach mansion. 2 weeks later, police received the first tip about Epstein. Key fact: 16-year-old Virginia Giuffre was recruited at Mar-a-Lago while working as a spa attendant. Her father was a maintenance manager at Trump's club. Part 3. Trump administration conflicts of interest, 2017 to 2021. 2017. Trump appointed Alexander Acosta as labor secretary. Acosta was the prosecutor who gave Epstein a lenient 2008 plea deal. 2019. William Barr became attorney general despite massive conflicts. Barr's father hired Epstein to teach at an elite school despite Epstein having no credentials. Barr worked at Kirkland & Ellis, the law firm that represented Epstein. De recusar flip-flop. July 8. Barr recused himself from Epstein matters. July 9. Barr reversed his recusal after consulting ethics officials. Part 4. Epstein's death and Trump's hypocrisy. August 10, 2019. 6:30 a.m. Epstein was found dead while in the custody of the Department of Justice. That evening, Trump promoted Clinton conspiracy theories. Official tweet timestamps: 22 hours 1 minute and 25 seconds. Retweets about Bill Clinton's flights: 22 hours 1 minute and 56 seconds. Retweets a post claiming Epstein died of suicide on 24/7 Suicide Watch? Yeah, right. Jeffrey Epstein had information on Bill Clinton. The conspiracy retweet received massive amplification. While blaming Clinton, Trump ignored his own connections. A 15-year friendship with Epstein. 7 documented flights on Epstein's plane. 14 phone numbers in Epstein's contact book linked to Trump. The 2002 quote about Epstein liking younger women. Part 5. The 2025 cover-up. June 2024. Trump said on Fox News he would declassify Epstein files but later backtracked, stating concerns about affecting lives if the information was false. February 2025. Attorney General Pam Bondi claimed Epstein's client list was sitting on my desk. July 7, 2025. The Department of Justice released a memo declaring Epstein died by suicide. No client list exists. No further prosecutions would occur. July 8, 2025. When asked about Epstein, Trump responded, "Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. This creep." The evolution of Trump's denials. 2002. Terrific guy. Likes beautiful women. On the younger side. 2019. I was not a fan. Haven't spoken in 15 years. 2025. This creep. Waste of time to discuss. The MAGA rebellion. Trump supporters expressed anger over the cover-up. Figures such as Alex Jones, Laura Loomer, and Tucker Carlson criticized the administration for burying the case. The bottom line, Trump had deeper documented connections to Epstein than Bill Clinton did, yet spent years promoting conspiracy theories while his own administration covered up the case. The Department of Justice that was supposed to investigate Epstein's death was run by people with direct conflicts of interest. This represents one of the most hypocritical and suspicious handling of a major criminal case in United States presidential history. Sources: court documents, major news outlets, official government records, and the American Presidency Project. Story 44. Content warning: child sexual abuse. When my grandparents kicked me out of their house for telling them that my uncle sexually abused me as a child, I had to drop out of school and became essentially homeless. To this day, only my brother believes me. Story 45. Nearly. All the evil plots and schemes by my Malaysian Chinese community's clandestine communist zealots. In the media, in the religious realm, active influencers and trendsetters, black hat hackers who vilified me online, nearly ruined my entire life. Just look at the well-deserved good life I am living now. You failed to destroy my life. I won. Praise God. Thank you, God. Story 46. Personal injuries. I cracked 2 vertebrae and tore muscles in my back. Another time, I had major head trauma and lost several teeth. I have had numerous other falls. I am a mass of half-healed injuries and chronic pain. There are many things I cannot do anymore without triggering back spasms, inflammation, and other symptoms. It is very difficult. Story 47. COVID-19 disabled me at a young age. I have many health problems now. I lost the ability to walk for almost 7 months. It took me 5 years to heal enough to do modified work and not be bedbound or housebound. People act like it is some sort of joke. Millions of people died, lost their businesses and everything, and it is still harming people. I wish people could drop the political back and forth and have more empathy. Story 48. Taking out a credit card during college when I was financially irresponsible took me a couple of years to rebuild my credit. Story 49. Falling for a man who said, "I do not believe in labels," but still got mad when I went on a date. Sir, what are we, ghosts? Story 50. I crashed my car. I injured my back and have been suffering from it for 16 years and probably always will. Story 51. Hiatal hernia, sleep apnea, vestibular balance disorder. I list them because I believe the cascade started with one of these conditions. Story 52. A lack of confidence and a lack of self-worth, self-esteem, and self-respect. I should have stood up for myself, but that was frowned upon by everyone. I tried to keep to myself, but everyone else had a different idea, to make me know how worthless I truly am. When I finally tried to move ahead in life, everyone saw and sees how little confidence I have and was disgusted by it. Compounds and faking it until I make it never worked. Girls think I am creepy, employers take advantage of my work ethic, and I have let myself get exploited financially, thinking I was helping others when it turned out they were just using me. I am what I never wanted to be, a cautionary tale. Kids, do not turn out like me. Story 53. Nothing. Life gets hard sometimes, and I have been through some difficult experiences for sure, but nothing has ever ruined my whole life. Story 54. I am finally on the upswing, but what affected me the most was alcohol, not my own drinking but that of someone close to me. Story 55. I played video games too much and slacked off at school. I still managed to get a good job and salary in the end, but my school and grade point average are really unimpressive on paper compared to all my colleagues. It is always much harder for me to switch jobs than for them, despite being considered a top performer. Story 56. Being socially isolated by all my friends in second-year university made me depressed and suicidal. The long-term consequences include a lack of trust. Story 57. Smoking marijuana on my first job. I had it so easy and nice, driving forklifts and using overhead cranes, making good money, and I loved it. But I was a foolish 19-year-old and decided to smoke. I dropped a coil of steel, caused some property damage, and they rightfully fired me. If I could go back in time, I would be very upset with myself for that mistake. I have not had an opportunity like that again, and I doubt I ever will, at least not for that kind of pay. Story 58. A car accident. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Dying and being brought back to life. Now seeing the world with a different set of eyes. One is never alone, and I try to make the world a better place amidst all the horror. Story 59. Whatever developed in my body after a severe coronavirus disease infection. Doctors do not know. I am disabled. That was 3 years ago. Story 60. Divorce. I lost everything and ended up at rock bottom. Having to couch surf in my late 20s was embarrassing. To the friends who helped me, I will forever be in their debt and will always help whenever they need. Story 61. I am 24 years old. I was putting my baby son in the back seat of the car when I felt a pop, which was a herniated disc in my back. Story 62. Hitting puberty and developing a stutter is tough to navigate, especially in professional life. I also think that being good to someone will keep them around. Story 63. Being abused as a child had a lasting impact on my ability to trust others. I did not grow up with many friends in real life and have never had a relationship. I am now 25 years old and do not expect this to change. Story 64. Chronic migraines occur several times a week and have been an issue since I was 7 years old, almost 4 decades ago. This has really impacted my life. I hope the new calcitonin gene-related peptide medication that my insurance has agreed to cover, after 6 months of fighting with them, makes a significant difference for me. Story 65. Finally got accepted into a medical school after 5 years of nonstop hard work to make up for messing up one exam at 17 that made my dream not possible at first. It has always been my dream. My life had ups and downs, but I always had my ambition, my drive, and my passion to learn and become a doctor. After earning a degree and most of my 20s, I applied again. Everyone rejected me except my final response. I finally got in. I never moved there or told anyone because I did not want the person I was with to leave me for moving away. Story 66. Congratulations to everyone here who got sober, improved, or is trying to. There are many of you, and it is impressive. Story 67. COVID-19 ruined my life, ruined my health, ruined my son's health, and caused me to lose people I cared about. The worst part was seeing how quickly a society can fall into deep stupidity and proudly wallow in willful ignorance even as they watched their loved ones die. It has stolen my hope for humanity. Story 68. I think losing fights as a child really damaged my self-esteem and resulted in a butterfly effect that still affects me today. Story 69. Being born definitely was the start of it. My mother was only 14 when she gave birth to me, so really, what chance did I ever have? Story 70. Misophonia is crippling. It is not simply annoying but requires constant planning around perceived threats. I am unable to relax around people because of it, always on guard. The cortisol levels that flow through my body may send me to an early grave. I wish more research were being done. I would love to find out how to eliminate it from my life. Story 71. I would not say my life is ruined at 28, but I have had to work twice as hard as other people to catch up to my peers after struggling with addiction in my teens and early 20s and wasting a lot of time. It would have been ruined if I had waited any longer to clean up my act. There were no legal repercussions besides a shoplifting charge that was expunged, so it could have been a lot worse. Story 72. Getting someone pregnant when I had no intention of being with her, and not making more effort to help her realize that before she had the baby. Story 73. My severe anxiety disorder worsened significantly when the pandemic began, and I hardly left the house for 4 years. Story 74. High blood pressure. I discovered that I have high blood pressure when I had a hemorrhagic stroke that nearly killed me. The untreated high blood pressure weakened the blood vessels in my brain and caused them to rupture nearly exactly 5 years ago on July 19, 2020. Now I am hemiplegic, permanently disabled, and broke. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.